Welcome to the Blding Legacies podcast, where nothing is off the table. This platform was designed as a vehicle to bridge the wealth gap between rich and poor by teaching financial literacy and giving you the keys to success. Discussing business, culture, entertainment, investing, and finance. Blding Legacies, one brick at a time. Welcome to the Blding Legacies podcast, man, where we're going to be talking about all things that we can get straight to build us a legacy, right? Anything that we can use that can move the needle forward in our lives, that we can leave a legacy behind. So my name is Stan C. Gilliard, and this is my brother, Eric. You'll be able to talk to him. He'll tell his story in a minute. But we want to thank everybody for tuning in, for everybody that's following us, for liking us, for sharing us, and commenting on the subject matter that we're going to be bringing forth. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. So, again, this is the Blding Legacy podcast, and we want to thank you for joining. My name is Stan C. Gilliard, and this is my brother. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, like you said, I'm Eric. Definitely welcome to the podcast. It's been a long time coming. We appreciate all the viewers, that's tuning in, that's going to tune in. We're very appreciative of that. We're going to be providing you guys, man, with some good content, bring some real value to you guys. It's very helpful. So just ride with us. You're not going to be disappointed. We got you covered.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do is introduce ourselves. We're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves so you can become familiar with us. Listen, I had a long journey in life, and my journey started from a while ago. And as we do this podcast, we're going to be learning more about each other, and you're going to be learning more about me. But I want to start from the point where I actually came home. So I re-entered society in 2017, where I had a lot of bursts of energy. I had a lot of ideas. I had a lot of things that I want to accomplish. And I hit the ground running. I came out here and I wanted to do so much because I'm already behind the 8 ball. You know what I'm saying? We already behind the 8 ball. So I'm trying to do so much to catch up in my mind what I think I need to do. But in trying to catch up, I think I was losing myself in the process because I didn't realize how it was going to be. Reality bit me in the butt. You know what I mean? The true aspect of actually getting up in the morning, going to work, you got to pay those bills. And it put a damper in my ideas, so to speak, in my dreams. And I had to put my dreams in the back burner before I start doing this. But yeah, I came home 2017 from a long stretch, and I was kind of hesitant to give this information. While my mother and father was here, they was against me actually trying to tell the world about my past. They was, they were of the mindset, why bring up the past? Leave the past is the past and you can go forward. And I tried to tell them that, listen, since I was a victim as well as an individual that did wrong, I think I owe it not only to people to tell my story, but in the same token to try to help those that's coming up now because they lost. So I wanted to tell my story, but I held back on it. But now is the time for me to share the story. Came home, like I said, gone for a long time for drug possession and violence. And I was gone for a long time. And I was gone for 24 years. And that's a long time. You know what I mean? So when I came home, man, it was like I was re-entering into a new world. And I'm thankful that I had family and friends by my side to help me make that adjustment. And we'll be getting into more detail of why this happened and what happened while we were away. We just wanted to give you a basic foundation of who we are. I'm an author. I'm a business owner. I'm a husband, all these different things that I want to share with you guys that I'm learning along the way. And when my good friend here said, listen, I think we should start a podcast. I said, my brother, you sure? Because the field is full, man. You sure we not getting in late? We not throwing our hat in the ring late? But he assured me that, listen, man, the type of people that we are, the type of truth that we bring, and the type of love that we share, man, people are going to embrace us. So I said I couldn't find no other person that I would love to do this show with than this honorable individual right here. So tell him a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate that too, man. Yeah, man, my name's Eric, and for those that don't know me, those that do, people call me E for short. Like I said, I got a similar story, like, my friend Stan, my man Kai just mentioned, just coming up in the city, Bronx, New York, you know what I mean? Got caught up in some things, early on in life, man. Just took the course that wasn't necessarily good for me, which landed me also in prison where we met, you know what I mean? But along that journey, I learned some things, about myself, just about the world, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I was incarcerated 13 and a half years on this particular sentence. I've been incarcerated prior to that as well, unfortunately. But, that's
You
my
didn't
journey.
learn your lesson. No, I'm messing with you.
Yeah. No, I didn't learn my lesson. I've been in
Yes,
juvenile institutions, but, I learned it now. It's never too late. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
there's a saying, too, a friend of mine used that it's better to be a young fool than an old one, right? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I was a young fool, you know what I mean? But now I'm an older, a wise man. I learned the lessons from the past, man. So same thing, just coming home. I was released in 2019. And, you know, coming from prison, we have all these grand ideas, you know what I mean? That the things we want to do. And a lot of times we have it outlined too, step by step. And but nothing goes the way you planned,
Mm-hmm.
specifically coming from that environment because we were so limited with information that, we thinking we got a foolproof plan, that we come home and it's nothing that how we perceived in our
Picture
head.
it in our mind.
Yeah, it goes totally, but you still gotta stay the course. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So I was able to, get some things done. I own a business, own a trucking business, real estate company, getting involved in mentorship, just been productive, since I've been home, and, which I'm thankful for, man, because, with, being released from prison, you can have your mind set on one particular thing. You say, okay, I'm going to do right, or being in prison saying this to yourself. But then once you come home, you have the temptations and distractions. So fortunately for me, I was able to stay disciplined and stay the course. But like we mentioned, we're going to get into that as well, just briefly about our background, what led us to that lifestyle, lessons we've learned along the way. Yeah, man, so we're going to get into that. But, just want to welcome everybody again. This podcast, the idea, when I thought of it, coming up with a podcast, I just know we have so much value to share, man, with the public, just based on our experience, so much wisdom, so
Mm-hmm.
many lessons that I think other people could benefit from. Specifically those that come from the same walk of life as we have, that may be a little unsure of themselves. They doubtful of what they can and can't do. You know what I mean? Because all they know is one thing. So
Yeah.
it's that fear of the unknown. You know what I mean? But we're examples that, it's going to be okay. Just have faith.
A-
So
Absolutely.
we're going to get into that as well. We're going to be discussing finance, personal finance, credit, real estate, how to start a business. We're going to be inviting people on knowledgeable in these areas, man, that could give us some wisdom and information to help us. But I'm gonna leave it there, man. But Cal, I want to ask you, right? Because I know when we talked about initially starting the podcast, and you immediately, well, somewhat immediately grasped the concept. Because I had the vision, but sometimes when you trying to bring or trying to enlighten someone else, they don't necessarily see it right away. But you, on the other hand, it's like you was able to receive it and take it farther than I could even conceive it. You know what I'm saying? When I built
Mm-hmm.
it, I said, man, this guy's incredible. You know what I mean? Like,
Appreciate it.
Because sometimes a concept is a concept, but then it could be expanded.
Mm-hmm.
So initially, I know you said that, you was like, wow, it may be we enter into a space that may be crowded, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a unique background and circumstances. So what exactly say, you know what, I like this idea, I see the vision, I want to get involved. What was the moment, when you
Well, the moment was when you brought the idea to me. I had to ponder it for a while, right? Because so I'm in the motivational space. So I started doing that. I started giving motivational quotes every morning. Every night I posted on different social media sites, and people began to follow. And like I said, I started looking at other people who came from our circumstances. I don't know at this point I can name names, but it's a plethora of them that I watched that came from our circumstances, and they was on the social media platform, and they was using it, and it was working for them. And I'm saying to myself, at first when I first came home, I was kind of doubtful, right? Because I'm like, I'm older, I'm coming out here, people moving around. I'm thinking that I'm old, even though we looking all right. You know what I mean? I'm thinking that it's a young person's space. And to a degree, I felt that way because people who were in my age bracket, they really wasn't running around on the social media like that. Some were. Lucky my wife was knowledgeable in it, and it helped me. So I started looking into it, and I started saying, man, there's people of all ages on social media, man. I can do the same thing. I can post and say hello, how you doing? I can put a
right,
video up here and there, but I didn't want to follow any trend. I didn't want to do something that will be other than myself. So I had to be myself at all times. So when you brought the idea up, it was good because when you brought the idea up, it was good because I started looking at a lot of podcasts. I was looking at Earn Your Leisure. I was looking at all these different people. I'm looking at Million Dollar. I'm looking at Ask. I'm looking at everything of the information people is bringing. And I'm like, wow, this is what I do every time I'm around somebody. Sometimes I think I bring the mood down because I'm talking about business. I'm talking about legacies. I'm talking about eating good, being financially free, and I'm doing it already. So why wouldn't I want to give that information as well to as many people as possible? So when you brought the idea, I'm like, wow, this is like sort of divine in a way because you all the way in Atlanta, I'm here in South Carolina. When you brought the idea, I'm like, how are we going to do a podcast? You're there, I'm here. I had to do so much investigation of how we could do it, and this was the best vehicle we can use right now.
right,
And I love coming from the mud up. You know how we do. We come from the bottom and we keep going until it gets better. So I like the fact that we starting out like this because I want people to take the journey with us and show and see that people, not people like us, but those who went through trials and tribulations like me and you, man, if we can come out here and if we can have that determination and that will to create something, then can we give that energy? Can we give that information to people the same way it was given to us? You know? So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to do. And I'm in the motivational space. So I said, let me get on here with this brother and let me say I want a full disclosure. With me nor E, we don't have certifications in real estate or investing or things of that nature, but we are knowledgeable in various subjects. Our goal is to make Blding Legacies a platform so that we can bring on the experts. We can bring on the people that can take us from A to Z. And I literally mean A to Z. I see a lot of things where people come and give you the information, but they don't give you the keys to success. They really don't give you the steps that you got to take to get from A to B to C to D. And I'm hoping that this platform can break it down simpler to a degree.
right,
Where in layman's terms, where we bring somebody on and I'm going to have my pen and pad here too, and I'm going to be asking questions. I'm going to be soaking up the information too, because I
right,
think I got adult ADD, to be honest with you. I'm going to be soaking up the information too, because I like to jump from one thing to another. But we're not certified, but we have a lot of love for our people. We got a lot of love for knowledge. We got a lot of love for finance, and we're hoping that we can bring that information to you. So, E, what gave you the passion to want to start your first endeavor as far as getting into real estate? What gave you that passion to say that, and the steps that you took to get the ball rolling?
right. Well, I mean, it's been some years in the making. While we were incarcerated, just running into guys, that have had experience with real estate and a modicum of success, until
Mm-hmm.
ultimately they were incarcerated. But they were sharing a lot of the information in regards to how you could build wealth by owning assets. So coming from the background we come from, my antennas went up. You start talking about making some money, you're gonna get my attention. Bottom line,
Quickly.
quickly. You know what I mean? So when I hear guys like, man, real estate, acquiring properties, building equity, flipping homes, wholesaling homes. There's so many different ways to make money in real estate, even on the real estate development level.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to be able to sit down with many individuals that was giving me a lot of knowledge. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going back to the previous lifestyle that I once lived. That was out. My mind was made up. So I said, okay, I have to, and I'm not going to be poor and destitute. That's out. You get what I'm saying?
It's not part of the equation, huh?
It's not part of the equation. So what can I do that would bring in income, the revenue that, that would afford me a lifestyle that I'm accustomed to living,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I said, okay, real estate would be, particularly on a wholesale level. Because, when you buy and holding property, this is long-term investing, building equity. This is a long-term situation. So I said, you know what? Let me learn as much as I can on the various ways to make money in real estate. So I buckled down, ordering the literature, reading, soaking up as much information as I can. And that's what inspired me. Just and the legacy aspect of real estate. Like we know our podcast is Blding Legacies. So in this regard, when we talk about building a legacy, we're talking about passing something down
Absolutely.
to future generations. You know what I mean? So something that my children can inherit, my grandchildren can inherit.
Mm-hmm.
They can't inherit a job. You know what I
At
mean?
all.
At all. You can't inherit that. So I said, okay, real estate, land, businesses. So, and also just briefly, because of our experiences, with incarceration and coming home, and getting started later than the average person, I said to myself, I got to get on a fast track.
Absolutely.
I can't go the route of the average person because I'm not average. I've been in
Mm-hmm.
prison. I got over 17 years in prison,
Absolutely.
actual calendar years in
Yeah,
prison.
absolutely.
So I said, you know what? I got to get on a fast track. I got to start businesses, create something for myself.
Absolutely.
I can't come
You don't
home.
got time to work for the 401 and all that. Yeah.
No, I don't have time for that. You know what I mean? Especially starting at 40 years old. You get what I'm saying? No work history. So I said, okay, I have to create something for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a part of who I was since a youth. But I just went the wrong direction with it.
Absolutely.
But the principle was the same. I got to create something to do for self. So I said, okay, let me start these businesses. I started the trucking company, which is doing well. It's expanding. It's challenges like with any business, but it's worth it, right? It's something that I could call my own. It's something that I got full control over.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's priceless to me. So that was the motivation behind, starting a real estate company, starting a trucking company, starting a podcast, because we're looking for multiple streams of revenue where we could be self and independent. Now, I want to pose the question back to you because I know you got, as you mentioned, you got the clothing line, which I patronize, the gold fingerprints, you know what I mean?
Brand. At least you said it right, guy.
You know what I mean? The gold fingerprints brand, which is an excellent brand. I just want you to speak to that a little bit and what motivated you to start that. You know what I
mean? Now I didn't really have this idea when I was away. Actually, this idea came to me while I was writing my book. Not really writing the book because I wrote several books, but I've published one. I have several of them more to publish. But I was thinking of a name for the publishing company of the book. And we spoke about this somewhat briefly in private, is that you are like a sum of your circumstances. in life, and it plays an indelible role in your mind. And I vividly remember a lot of things that happened in my life, and I wasn't raised. I'm raised by good people, good family that work hard. I really wasn't raised to go the route that I went. So I remember all the teachings from them, but also in my mind, I remember when I'm running the streets and I get caught or I get locked up, I get incarcerated, the process of taking the photos, the process of becoming fingerprinted, and it's a new day and time. I don't know how it worked now, but back in the days, you have all the ink on your fingerprints, and though I was running the street and though I was doing wrong, I somehow I somehow had the audacity to hate the process of getting locked up, right? Like, yo, it's treating us bad. You treating us like subhuman. And I used to look at the ink on my finger and I used to be like, well, that ink is a direct result, man, of the decisions you made in life. And they put you through this process to make you know where you are, who you are, and what you are. And that always played in my mind. So when I was trying to find a publishing name for this book, because I published the book independently, and we'll get into that as well, you know, I started saying, man, that's a good name. But I came up with several different logos. So I said Gold Fingerprints because of the fingerprint situation I just told you. And I said, man, we come from greatness. We come from kings. We come from queens. We come from a great, history, and our ancestors are great. So I said, man, I'm going to turn that theory around, because we're great. So everything we touch turns to gold. So I said, you know what? How about Gold Fingerprints? And the slogan is going to be where everything you touch turns to gold. Because that's how wise you are. That's how special you are. That's how strong you are. I don't care if it's family, if it's business and socializing. Anything you put your mind to and anything you put your fingers on, you're going to turn it into gold. It's going to be a success. So I created Gold Fingerprints with the initials GF. I turned the F around. And for the most part, its journey, it started off okay. But remember, I had to teach myself Instagram marketing, Facebook marketing, Google SEO, and Google marketing, and there's so much to teach yourself that even though I'm at a certain level, there's still a great level to go. And so the money that I made from e-commerce, I had to essentially put that back into the business to reach more eyeballs. The more eyeballs you get on the product, you get on your website, the more sales you make. And I ultimately began to realize, it's the stories out here. You can start from nothing and you can create something, but you got to have some level of financial foundation to get these endeavors further. You can do but so much,
Right.
but you need a financial backing where you can get these things to where they need to be. So yeah, Gold Fingerprints is the name of my clothing company where, we got t-shirts, hats, sweat hoods, we got hoodies, we have sweatpants, and it's been doing okay. And I think remember I seen this thing from Ice Cube on Instagram that says people don't want to put in the work, but they want to live a good. They want to reap the rewards. We want the big house, the big cars. We want all these things, but we don't put in the work. And he said sometimes people got to realize it takes 5 to 10 years. And I heard this from Rick Ross too. 5 to 10 years to get a brand going.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't get discouraged because people don't appear to see your vision. So I'm staying in there with the brand because I'm getting so much good feedback from the brand. So I'm staying in there until it hits it, until it start getting that traction. And this podcast is another vehicle where we can also promote our own businesses as well as give people the steps to promote that business. So that's the route that I took as far as the clothing brand.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, man, we have to dream big and think big.
Mm-hmm.
And for most people, would never pursue anything of that magnitude, knowing the uphill battle. You know what I mean? Like,
It's a battle, man.
right.
It's a battle.
I could imagine, man, just building a brand. And from what I learned just from other successful clothing brands or just brands in general, just the process, right? And you think of the word brand, while it's called a brand is something that you're trying to impress on the minds of the masses.
Absolutely.
And so that now it's actual branding on their minds.
Absolutely.
Right? So when they think of a clothing line, yours will pop up immediately. And that doesn't happen overnight. When you see other successful brands with those luxury brands, we all know the names that's going to pop up.
Absolutely.
That's an actual brand.
Absolutely.
It's branded on your consciousness. So, man, like you said, it requires a lot of money and backing, but you got to stay the course. You know what I mean?
I stay the course, and hey, listen, brothers. A lot of brothers I grew up with. A lot of people. I'll be like, yo, man, I see you, man, with them t-shirts on. They don't have a GF on it, bro. And they like, oh man, yeah, I gotta get it. I'm like, listen, stop making them rich, man. They don't know you, man, but you know me.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
Right.
So support, man.
That's right.
Support, man. But yeah, God, yeah, this is a beautiful thing, and I feel comfortable. And I just want to put out there, this is our first episode. This is our first episode. So we're going to be a little nervous. We're going to be a little all over the place until we get comfortable. But if you like, subscribe, and you share Blding Legacies, and you comment, if you follow us, we can guarantee that we're not going to give up on you. We're going to keep bringing you valuable information. Every time you see one of these videos, you're going to have valuable information that you can look back on, and you can also refer to other people. This is our passion. Financial freedom is our passion. Leaving a legacy behind when we leave is our passion. And remember, leaving a legacy behind doesn't always mean or only mean finance. It is an important part, but there are tons of people that leave a legacy behind through their words, through their actions, through their contributions to society. You can leave a legacy behind. My father worked all his life, and he left a legacy behind even through his hard work. But the biggest part of the legacy he left behind that I can remember is the jewels, the wisdom that he bestowed upon me to give to other people and carry on for those that's coming behind me. So Blding Legacies is the platform. It's the name of the podcast. It's on all social medias. You like, subscribe, and share, and keep following us.
Right, absolutely, man. Keep following. We're not going to disappoint you. We're going to bring the content, like I said, social issues. I'm talking, we're dealing with everything involved in our culture because we are the culture, but we're talking about entertainment. We're talking about other things just relevant to our experience.
Our culture, where we come from.
Culture, man. And it's so much that
absolutely
encompasses, man. So we're not going to disappoint you. And I was just thinking, like what you mentioned about the legacy aspect and the various ways of leaving a legacy. Because I think sometimes we get caught up on just one aspect of it, of just, leaving something of an actual asset or something to that extent.
Yeah. Which is important. Yeah.
Which is very important, man. At least, striving to give them a one up, or something maybe that you didn't have. But when we talking about legacy, man, we talking about, your reputation. And I think about my legacy, right? Thus far, because, this is the beginning of something greater, but thus far. So when I think about it, it's like, man, if you passed away today, what would people say about you? Get what I'm saying? Like, well, you're an honorable man, right? Do you have a good reputation?
Absolutely.
Right? And with me, it's about now just being intentional about my legacy going forward. Because thus far, I'm sure you could get 100 people may say, they know of me from, being in the streets and being involved in the street life and the negative aspect. But going and I build a legacy doing that unconsciously. We just living our lives, but we're actually building a legacy daily. But now it's about being intentional and conscious. Okay, now moving forward, I'm conscious of, my legacy. So how I want to interact with people. What do I want to do? You know what I mean? Making my word bond. Keeping my face good. You know what I mean? And things of that nature. So it's just all about being intentional now, because prior to, it was just living life. And then we're so unconscious that we're actually building them and living them and leaving a legacy. But I want to change the narrative because with me, when my name come up in certain circles, it's associated with an old lifestyle.
Absolutely.
But that's not who I am anymore. You know what I mean? So going forward, I know, okay, I can't rewrite the past, but I can learn from it, and use the lessons from the past to move forward, and potentially, inspire others to want to make a change in their lives. Use the information, the lessons that I learned to maybe deter someone else from going that route. They may not be as lucky as you or I.
Absolutely.
Because when you think about it, us just being here now, shooting, this podcast, and it's a blessing in and of itself.
It's a second chance, man.
It's a second.
I just put out a video, second chance. Don't squander it, man. But let me ask you this: At what point? Because I'm curious. I know my point. I'll answer this when you're done for myself. At what point, when you was doing your bid, at what point when you was away? Because I'm gonna share with you at what point it was for me when I changed my mind, and then I'm gonna give you also a window of what happened when I came home. Right? There's so much to share. When I came home, I thought so much that didn't go the way that I thought. Right? But at what point when you was incarcerated, when did you said to yourself, enough is enough, this is it, this is what I'm going to do to change the trajectory of my life? Because a lot of people was faced with that same decision, and as the years went on, we looking at brothers, it's like, damn, you've been like that. I knew you for 10 years, you acting the same way you was when I first met you. 10, 15 years, 20 years from now. So at what point and at what stage, when you were doing your bid, did you change your mind and said you're going to change, how you see life and how you're going to go about it?
Honestly, it was immediately when they put the handcuffs on me, man. Because you got to think about it, right? I was just recently released from state prison prior to going to federal prison. So when them
now you're talking about the past, just so we'll let the viewers know. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So that defining moment for me is when they put the handcuffs on me in front of my family. My kids was there. I said, man, I don't know what's going to happen. I didn't really have an idea of how long I was going to be away. What the whole experience, it was a whole new experience. He got the FBI jackets on. I'm like, okay, this is different. But I knew, like, you know what? I got to make some changes. You know what I mean? It was instant. And I embarked on a journey of change. You know what I mean? Immediately. It was a process because I was speaking with someone recently, just telling them about the process of change. And I have some literature that kind of breaks down the different stages of change. And, you got a pre-contemplation stage where you're not even thinking about it at all. Like you have no plans on changing, but then you start contemplating changing. But you're not having changed, but you're contemplating it. Then you start making preparations, right? And then you start taking action. So with me, when I went through that process, I said, you know what, man? I'm tired of doing the same thing and getting the same results, and expecting different results. Right?
Absolutely.
That's insanity. I mean, that's the definition.
That's the definition of insanity. Absolutely.
So I said, you know what? I need to make some changes. So what I had to do is I had to kind of process and challenge every thought that I ever had. You get what I'm saying? In terms of just the way I viewed things. Because obviously it was leading me to a brick wall every time. So I said, you know what? I got to start challenging certain cultural norms that's been imposed on us as kids. Certain sayings, I had to challenge it. And then as you grow in wisdom, some of that stuff just don't make any sense no more. But it may have made sense, some of it, in that particular environment for your survival, for whatever. But we try to make changes, man. And it's a psychological thing. So I had to challenge a lot of things. But to answer your question again, it was instantaneous. And I said, man, I can't do this no more, man. And I said, I don't know how long I'm going to be away, but I know it's going to be a significant amount of time because just what happened. And then I embarked on it. And then I started to notice that with things within myself, that certain things didn't influence me the way it once did. And I'm going to tell a quick story. I remember being released from prison, right? Not having nothing. You know how it be. You come home.
Yeah.
And your friends give you a little something, but ain't nobody going to take care of you, right? So I remember going to New York and getting around, some associates, my mans, I love them, right? And these guys, are still whatever, So talking to them, and at the time, I didn't have much money in my pocket. The clothes I have on is not expensive.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing well. And a younger me would have been like, looking at them like, man, and looking at myself in comparison to them and say, you know what, man, I ain't feeling
I'm getting on that train.
I'm getting on the train. But
Yeah.
but I knew I had changed when that didn't move me at all. You understand what I'm saying? It didn't move me at all. Like, it was almost like I could be amongst it, well, not amongst the actual lifestyle, but just amongst people that's doing well. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not influenced to get back involved in that lifestyle. So I said, okay, I officially changed. Because, as we know, it's easy to say anything in prison.
Absolutely.
Easy. You think you change. The real test is when you come home and you face with that temptation.
Oh, man.
That's when you know, okay, I really changed because this doesn't move me. You get what I'm saying? So the process worked, and then I'm grateful that, I am where I am today as far as just mentally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that was a great question. I just want to pose it back to you. For you, at what point throughout your incarceration, right, did you say, you know what, I'm tired of this, man. I got to change. Do you remember somewhat?
Man, let me tell you. I remember, man. But one thing about, I got a good memory, and I remember, right? So for me, it was for me when I knew it was over. I knew the worst was over, and I said, okay, we got to do this time, right? I remember distinctly, me and my brother, we were somewhere. One of my brothers, we were. I think we was in transit going towards Lewisburg. We was going to Lewisburg or something, but I was smiling. I'm still young. I'm like 24 or something like that, 25. I'm still like, I'm not the toughest brother, but I'm not the softest brother. I'm just, I'm me. So I'm still smiling, and they're interviewing us, you know what I mean? And a guy said to my brother, he said, do your brother know how serious it is where y'all going? How serious it is? And because he seems to be smiling, right? So my brother was like, trust me, man. He trust me, it's just a smile. There's a lot behind the smile, So when as I was in there, we was in Lewisburg, I knew, because it's a whole different vibe when you with a bunch of brothers this hard, bunch of brothers that's not having it. I didn't have the privilege of going to all over the different states when I was home hustling. Like, I didn't have that privilege. Some brothers traveled all over the United States to meet different dudes and cultures. But for me, when I stepped up in there and I seen so many different cultures of people and different states of people who was actually, going hard. Like, I thought New York was going hard, who was actually not having it, just like New York's not having it. And things that was happening in there, I'm like, okay, hold on, damn, got all this time, man, right? Got all this time, but people are still doing what they're doing. Like, it's an everyday life. You surviving in there. And I said to myself, damn, I just came from a place, which is the streets, trying to, all of these things on my mind, you're getting caught. Somebody might do something to you. You got to do something to somebody else. It is stressful to go into a stressful place. You feel what I'm saying? And have to play that role again or live that life again. And I knew, man, almost immediately that I said, man, not only did I make a terrible mistake in my life, but I knew that I couldn't live like this. I couldn't live like this in my mind. I couldn't live like this, you know. And so in my early years of New York, you know, dudes was 5%ers. I was God body. You know what I'm saying? So in my early years, I already knew about reading. I already knew about research, and I already knew about thinking about the past. We kings and queens, we righteous, we gods, we this. So I started going to the library. I start going to the library, start working out, going to the library. And so to answer your question, I knew at that moment when I walked up in there and I saw what was going on, I knew in my mind that there's no possible way I'm going to do 20 something years on this mode. It's
Right.
impossible. You
Right.
know, you got to be a certain type of person that want to be on 10 every day. I knew, you know what I mean? So for me personally, I didn't associate with a lot of things. I stayed in the library. I read a lot. I cross-referenced a lot, you know. And so at that point, I said to myself, no, I'm going to make a change. So like I said, I start studying, start buying books on real estate, investing, studying the law just a little bit to see what I can do. And but even back then, like I say, I got adult ADD. Even back then, I can't concentrate on one subject at a time. Like I say, okay, I could bought all these real estate books and I'm studying. I'm like, man, I got to know all these words in the glossary. No, hold on, man. I got to know the percentage of this. I'm not good at math. I got to do this and I got to do all that. I said, man, all right, I'm gonna skip that. Let me go on to investment books. Now going to investment books, and then I'm like, oh man, I got to know the different charts and the 52-week highs and lows, and I got to figure out what month last year was high to this month. I said, oh, man, let me move on to the next.
Right.
So for me, I've never been able to master any one particular subject when it comes to finance or business. I've always circled around, spend some time with this, spend some time with that. And that's what made me who I am today, you know? And ultimately, by coming home, I gave this analogy to people out here that though we're incarcerated, we're in prison, we're mentally free. You know
Right.
what I mean? When you realize that nothing but your body is in bondage and you're in control physically, mentally, you can be a million miles away from there. And that's what that's how I conducted myself. So I tell a lot of people since I've been home that even though you physically free, in many ways, your mind is held captive by the way that you think, by the way that you move, you know,
Right.
by the way that you respond to
Yeah.
things. And
Right.
I had such a difficulty trying to express the business aspect and what we've learned. You know how we learn so much. We learn so much with people because at first I thought it was like, damn, why people keep rebelling me? Why people keep fighting me? Why people be? I thought it was an attack on me. I
Right.
thought people was telling me like, man, you don't know nothing. You've been in prison. But actually, what they was telling me is, yo, you in the real world, man. You know, you out here. You know, that dream mentality that you got, that you're gonna be in a castle in the sky, yo, you gotta put the work in. You know, you gotta pound the pavement. Like you don't even have a job and you coming home I'm asking people, yo, why you working there? This what we can do with the money. And they looking at me, man, I got to pay the rent at the end of the month and I gotta put food. So the same way people out here don't understand our ability to learn and our concept, we didn't really, or me, for instance, I lost fact that every day out here is a struggle.
Right.
So, do you remember the phone calls I used to call you? I used to be like, yo, Eden, I can't take it no more out here, man. I'm going through it. And I got to give you your props because the same way you was when we was incarcerated was the same way you was when I was giving you those phone calls out
Right.
here. You never faltered. You never failed. You never be like, yo, do what you got to do. You always be like, yo, my brother, just relax, take a breather, calm down. The best is yet to come. And I should be like, man, I'm glad I called you. Remember, I should be like, yo, my brother is giving me some advice, and you younger than me. But I always admired that about you. But not to continue to go off in a tangent, but yes, I knew the moment I stepped in that penitentiary, I knew the moment I stepped foot in there and put my bed on that bunk, I said to myself, either I'm going to wallow in here and I'm going to be a product of this, or I'm going to elevate my mind for the moment these doors do open. I'm going to be ready. And yo, that's what I did, man. That's all I did. And that's why now I'm starting to see some fruits of the labor of from when I came home. I ain't see it immediately. I was stressed, but now I'm starting to see some fruits. I'm starting to measure it. I'm like, yo, damn, 5, 6 years. Wow.
Right.
This where I'm at. You know what I mean? As opposed to where I could have been.
Right. And just I don't mean to cut you off. When we think about too the fruits of the labor, man, we gotta also keep in mind that one fruit of the labor in terms of learning, growing in wisdom and knowledge and understanding, you're here, you're still free. You understand? That's a fruit of your labor in terms of you deciding, okay,
To remain here, to remain out here.
now, we may not have necessarily all of the material things or the wealth, which is coming.
It's coming.
We're going to stay the course. We may not have it currently, but we're here. So when I look at my personal situation in terms of fruits of my labor, I see mine is paying off in terms of me still being here. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not being tempted to go back to that previous lifestyle. I've invested a lot of time in labor and to change. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the fruits of my labor, when I wake up in the morning, free, right? You know what I'm saying? So in terms of, not the wealth building aspect, you know what I mean? Because I see the fruits of that too. It's a process.
Mm-hmm.
We take steps. But I invested considerable time into myself, as well as learning about, investing, real estate, trucking, starting businesses, credit. Which we're gonna get into a lot of that as well. But majority of my time went into investing into myself, changing the way I think. You know what I mean? So the fruit of that labor has paid off, significantly.
Absolutely. I agree.
So, right, that's what I'm saying. I'm just for you as well. You invested a lot of time into making that change. And
blood, sweat, and tears, man.
Sweat and tears, having, just being incarcerated, having to, you striving to change in the midst of brothers
of madness.
Of madness. So,
yeah.
You striving to change, which can make you vulnerable because now you are seeing things from a different perspective. But that old mindset because you were of it.
Absolutely.
It is you growing in civility amongst some savages.
Right? Absolutely. Absolutely. And absolutely. And they are brothers, right? And we know we came across some good men and left some good men behind. Those who didn't follow our path and those who did follow our path. It's good men. It was good men we met along the travels. You know what I mean? A lot of them home now. Good men. But I'm gonna tell you, this is what's compelling me for us to share our story.
Yeah.
So that people, man, the young men, you raising good young men, sons, so that the young men that we see right now that may be going in the wrong decision, that may be going in the wrong direction, rather, and making the wrong decision, that if they just hear our story and if they just see what we went through and the change that we made, maybe we can stop them from making the decision that they're making. So, we put a lot on our shoulders, B, from even this first podcast. We are putting a lot of work, determination, and things on our shoulders because we're here to stay. You know what I mean? And though we want to live a good life and get fruits of our labor, we also want to also give back to the youngsters that's coming up behind us so they don't have to follow in our footsteps.
Absolutely, man. And it's funny you mentioned that because that was actually on my mind. I had the fortunate opportunity at a job that I was working prior to me starting my business. I was, it was a substance abuse program, 28-day program, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had a lot of young brothers, white, Mexican, everybody came through there, for various reasons. But you had some of the young brothers as a part of their release from jail, they had to do this program, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a stipulation. So I was able to really counsel some of these young brothers, you know what I mean? In an informal way, right? So they used to deal with the formal counselors, but me, I pull up to the side later on in the evening, like, yo, come here, bro, sit down. You know what I mean? Like, I know hopefully you get some value of what you're being taught from the professionals, but a lot of the times they don't come from your background and culture. They don't understand you. I understand you. Come here, let's talk. And so that's just a passion of mine as well, to try to mentor young brothers, man, and show them a different light, a different perspective. You know what I mean? So I was fortunate in that regard, man. I was able to, talk black and white, right? We had a lot of white guys on their way leaving the program thank me personally. Like, man, I appreciate you, man, because you took the time to sit and talk with me. Like, you didn't look at me as less than. You know what I mean? Because they coming in with different substance abuse habits, various habits. But I didn't look at them as less than. I looked at them like, you're human like me. I'm flawed. You're flawed. We're flawed, right? But it ain't over for us. You're still here. So I had that fortunate opportunity, and that's definitely a passion of mine. You know what I mean? And we talking about legacy. For me, going forward, I'm adding that to my legacy.
Absolutely.
A legacy of service to our people. Like, I'm very intentional today about things that I do, I say and do. So, and that's one thing I want to add to my legacy that, I gave back. You know what I mean? Because if we don't give back, it's almost like everything we went through was in vain. You understand what I'm saying? It was in vain because those lessons were for a reason. All of those bumping your head and hitting that brick wall, it was a lesson there for you. And not necessarily just for you to keep within. Share it, right?
Absolutely.
If not, it was in vain. You know what I mean? So from my perspective, so any opportunity that I get, I talk with a brother, even if it's for 2 minutes.
Absolutely. I do that, yep.
I seen a brother recently, a lot of brothers be hustling, man. I respect them. I support their little hustle. It was a young brother at a gas station. He had a little clothing line. He was selling hats, right? I don't even wear that kind, but I bought it. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to support him. And he told me as we was talking at the gas station, he was like, he appreciated me for supporting him because a lot of people was walking past him. I'm like, yo, brother, come here, what you got, man? Right? I purchased the hat from him. And he had done 5 years in prison. Right? And he was determined not to go back. He said, man, I don't want to go back to prison. I said, listen, you're doing the right thing. Stay the course. You got your clothing line. You out here. I appreciate what you're doing. I told him my experience, man. He was humble. We had a conversation, about 10 minutes. And, he was appreciative that I gave him the time of day. I didn't just walk past him, or I didn't just purchase and leave. I had a conversation with him, right? I said, man, we come from the same walk of life, man. And I wanted to encourage him because I know he started a little business doing, you're going to have your moments where you're like, man, I ain't make a sell all day today. I've been out here, everybody walking past me. This ain't for me. And
absolutely.
He may entertain the idea of going back to a lifestyle which led him to prison. So that was kind of conversation I was telling him, like, listen, brother, stay the course, man. Right? And that's why I patronized him, because even though I didn't wear it, it wasn't nothing I was really interested in it, but I wanted him to make a sale that day. It was just weird for me because I come from the hustle.
Yeah, absolutely.
I felt like he needed a sale for the day, right? Because what that would do is it would inspire him to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't make a sale in about 2 weeks, you know what I mean? Just
hold on, it's coming.
Exactly. You may be like, man, this ain't for me. You start questioning yourself, doubting yourself. I said, you know what? I don't know if he made a sale. I don't know what transpired, but I knew the way I was thinking. If you haven't made a sale all day today, here you go. Right? And there was $20, right? But
that's encouragement. That gives them encouragement to keep going, like you said.
Absolutely, man. So that's every chance I get, I try to do something, and I'm intentional about it. I don't just do it, just randomly. I'm intentional.
Absolutely.
I put thought into it, like, you know what, come in. So that's just, briefly, man, just speaking on that. Like I said, in terms of, legacy and what the podcast is about, man, it's about being intentional about building your legacy.
Oh man, I like how you tied that together. And listen, man, so for people who tuned in to hear Blding Legacies. My name is Stan Seagal, y'all, and this is my brother, Eric Erskine. Everybody call him E. That's my man. I don't want to call him little brother. He don't got the grades yet, but so he's my brother.
Actually, I had just shaved, brother, but I'm a little gray, man. But
okay, all right, okay, I'll give you that.
I
But
embrace it.
absolutely. But we want to thank everybody, man, for tuning in to Blding Legacies. Listen, we got a lot of information. We got a lot of great things coming, man. We're going to show love to the independent business people out here like ourselves. We got a lot coming, a lot of information, a lot of interviews. I mean, we're going to do a lot for the youth out here. Just follow us, like us, share us, and comment, man. Give us comments and give feedback because we're not going nowhere, man. We're on a journey. We're on a mission. And I just want to say thank you for tuning in. And as always, I come with love.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate everyone as well that's tuning in. Like I said, we're not going to let you down. We're going to be providing value, good content, good conversation, relatable conversation. Yeah, man. So, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend.
Tell a friend to tell a friend, man. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We trying to set a different trend. We're not trying to have to wait for 5-6 years, man, to get certain number of followers. We want to set the trend. Let's blow the followership, the viewership, the followers, the subscribers. Let's blow it up, man. Two brothers from the foundation, culture, knowledge. We got it all, and we're gonna bring it all. Help us blow up Blding Legacies, man.
Absolutely.
So as always, man, like I said, we come with love.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Peace. Salute.